Let's have a seat. Kind of get checked in with our bodies today. So just really connecting down through your sit bones, lifting up through the crown of the head, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing your jaw, closing your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Big sigh. And just take this moment to really feel into each part of your body. Let's start breathing a little slower, a little deeper. Check in with your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, and even your sense of connection. And then let's bring the palms together in front of the heart, and we'll just pause for a moment to set our own personal intentions for practice today. When you're clear on your intention, take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. So we're going to go ahead and transition onto hands and knees. I want you to just arch around your back a couple of times, cat-cow stretches. You can also circle the hips if you like, or wag the tail. So our emphasis today is the hips, more precisely the glutes. I haven't really messed with you guys for a while with those. And so we're definitely going to be working with our gluteus maximus, our backsides. Very important muscles to loosen up in order to have more pliability in the low back and hamstrings. So on your next exhale, go ahead and take a child's pose. If you can do it with your legs together, that'd be great. That will give you more length through your glutes. And then we'll scoot forward into Sphinx. And of course, relax your glutes here so that we can lengthen the low back a little bit. And then we'll take downward facing dog. And so, of course, you can move a little bit, start to loosen up the calves, etc. But when you do find stillness, I want you to think of really pressing those hips up and back and pressing the heels down at the same time so that you feel that lengthening through the glutes. And then we're going to walk our feet forward, keep the knees bent, and just dangle in ragdoll. Now, as you're hanging in your ragdoll, what I'd like you to notice is when the knees are bent and the hamstrings are not really engaged, most of the length in the musculature of your body is coming from your gluteal muscles. Go ahead and inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. So if you can't get your torso to your thighs in a forward bend, today for sure, bend the knees a little bit because we want the glutes to stretch in our forward bend. Inhale, look up and lengthen, and then exhale back down. We're going to step back with the left leg. And so just hold your lunge for a moment. And I want you to just sort of feel into, in this case, your right glute, a glute of the leg that's forward. If you will allow your hips to sink a little bit more, you can feel that lengthening. There may be other things going on, of course there are, but I want you to feel the length in the glute. Let's go ahead and drop the left knee down. You're going to put your right hand on the inside of your right knee. Roll to the outside edge of the foot and gently apply some pressure. Extend your right leg now. We'll get into the hamstring a little bit. So if you can straighten the right leg, that's fantastic. And we want to kind of try and get the torso towards the thigh. So rather than hunching and rounding, think about getting the abdomen towards the thigh rather than like the head towards the shin. And then we'll go ahead and bend the right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Let the hips move forward. And then from here, put your left hand on the ground. Take your right hand towards the ceiling for a moment. And again, we're going to put the right hand on the inside of the right knee. Roll onto the outside edge of your right foot. Apply that same amount of pressure that you had earlier. And then maintain that pressure. Be mindful of knee issues, but I want you to start backing your hips up. In other words, you are increasing the angle at the right knee. You'll come to a point where, oh, suddenly you start to feel it in your glutes. Take one more breath. And then move back onto your hands and knees. Wag your tail if you would like. And then take a child's pose. Those of you that are doing full vinyasas, you can definitely do full vinyasas now. But you might want to take the child's pose first, just to get that lengthening through the glutes. Those of you that are doing a gentler flow with me, will scoot forward into Sphinx. And then we'll all meet up in downward facing dog, taking a moment to make sure that we're really pointing the tailbone up towards the ceiling while pressing the heels down towards the floor. And then we're going to take a big step forward with our left foot. Let the hips sink a little bit. See if you can find sensation or even just awareness in that left glute. And then we're going to drop the right knee down, put the left hand on the inside of the left knee, roll to the outside edge of that foot, and apply a gentle amount of pressure. From here, extend your left leg, flex the ankle and toes. If you can, lengthen your spine over your left leg. In other words, consider trying to get the abdomen onto the thigh. And then bend your left knee. Arms are going to come up and overhead. Let the hips sink forward. From here, we're just going to bring the right hand down to the ground, left hand towards the ceiling. And then we're going to put that left hand on the inside of the left thigh again, just like we did before. Roll to the outside edge of the foot, apply some pressure, and then maintain that pressure as you start to move the hips back, which is increasing the angle at your left knee, and you should start to feel it in your left glute. From here, step forward to your standing forward bend. Remember, bend your knees if you need to make sure that the glutes are lengthening. We want those glutes to lengthen. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Separate your feet the distance of your mat or wider if you need to. This is going to be your first yogic squat. But here's the deal. It's really important when you're trying to free your glutes to not let the feet rotate out. So if you are one of those people who can get deep, but it makes your feet rotate out, simply don't go as deep. Very important to keep the feet parallel today so that the glutes are lengthening rather than tightening. Heels are flat. Buns stick back. You can put your hands on your thighs, forearms on your thighs, hands on the floor, or you can release, but make sure that your toes are still pointing directly forward. Just a couple of breaths here. And then inhale and come all the way back up. As you exhale, bring your feet all the way together, palms together. So you at least want your big toes to touch. So you're going to inhale and reach the arms up. And then I'd like you to stick your tailbone back and start to bend the knees. Keep sitting your hips back while you lift your chest. So the more you sit the hips back and down, the more you're going to feel your glutes stretch. Take one more breath here. And then straighten the legs and fold forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale and look up. Exhale, back down. We're going to step back with our left foot. Spin the left heel flat, and I want you to come up into warrior two. Just take a moment, find that alignment. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and fold right down the middle. You want to keep your right knee bent. You want to maybe drift your torso to the left. You should be feeling this in your right glute. Now, just rotate towards your right foot. That should have taken a lot of the gluteal sensation out, yeah? Bring both hands down inside your right foot. Your left heel is still flat, by the way. All I want you to do is change your hip alignment. We're not changing the feet, but I want you to pull your right hip back and your left hip forward. You'll get that sensation in your right glute again, and this might be enough. This is fine. Those of you who feel like you can go deeper, your right hand is going to reach under your right leg and plant on the floor, and your left hand is going to grab your right ankle. Now, if your backside is parallel to the long sides of the mat, you're missing the stretch. So try and get your backside parallel to the short side of the mat without adjusting your feet. This will make it really exciting. Take one more breath. And then bring hands on either side of your right foot. Swivel onto the left toes. Step your foot forward to a standing forward bend. Really focus on getting the abdomen to the thighs. And then take a big inhale and reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. This time you're going to step back with your right foot. Spin that heel flat. Come up into your warrior two. Just taking a moment to find your alignment. Then interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and you're going to try and fold right down the middle. Knee stays bent on that left leg. Torso maybe drifts to the right. You should feel this in your left glute, left hip. Now we're just going to rotate back towards that left foot and bring both hands down on the inside of the left foot. Right heel stays flat. All we're going to do is change hip alignment without changing feet. Left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. And you should start to feel this in your left glute again. This might be enough. Those of you that are gluttons for punishment, left arm reaches under the left leg. Right hand grabs the left ankle and we pull, and we keep pulling left hip back, right hip forward, trying to get the hips to square off with the front of the mat. They're not going to, but that's what we're trying to do because that's where we get a lot of sensation. Release your hands out to either side of your left foot and step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're gonna step the feet out again. This is your second yogic squat. And you know the same rules apply. Please try and keep your feet parallel, pointing directly forward, heels flat. It may mean you're not going down nearly as far. That's okay. It's not a contest to get your bum to the ground. We're trying to free our glutes. So here we go. You can either support your weight on your thighs or maybe the floor, or if you can release the hands. Keep those feet pointing directly forward. Notice if it's maybe a little easier to get down this time. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Now what we're gonna do is take the feet a little bit wider. So I'm stepping outside my mat. And I'm gonna keep my feet forward. And as I start to bend my knees, I'm gonna continue to press them towards the little toes so everything tracks. But here's the deal. Do you remember how we pushed our buns back and raised our chest for Utkatasana? We're actually gonna kind of do the same thing as we did for Utkatasana, but we're gonna do it in this wide stance. So here's what I want you to do. Toes point forward. Knees start to bend and press out. Your bum sticks back. Your chest is lifting, your arms are up and overhead, and the idea is you start to allow yourself to move a little farther down. The more your bum sticks back and your chest lifts and your knees bend, pretty soon you'll be, oh, there are my glutes stretching. Take 2 more breaths here. Please don't round your back. Keep the back extended, chest lifted, and straighten your legs. Bring your feet together. Bring your hands to prayer. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. I want you to step straight back to downward facing dog. Really push those hips up and back like you're trying to poke your tailbone into the opposite wall where it meets the ceiling, and then also press your heels down. So really giving the glutes ample opportunity to lengthen. Drop to your knees. Take a child's pose. And then from here, those of you doing vinyasas, you are welcome to take one. The rest of us are gonna use these nicely loosened glutes to release our low back a little bit more in Sphinx, lengthen out. And then downward facing dog. From here, we're gonna walk our feet forward. Standing forward bend, remember abdomen to thighs. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, prayer position. So I know you'll be absolutely thrilled to know that we're gonna do 2 different balance poses today. Yay! The first one is kind of a preparatory pose. So if you are feeling balance challenged, you might want to lean against a wall, like the back part of you. So what we're going to do first is a standing pigeon pose. For those of you that can't do pigeon face down, this is a nice alternative, right? We're going to stand on the right foot first. So again, if you need to lean against a wall with your back, otherwise, here comes the balance. We're gonna bend the left knee and pick the left foot up. I want you to try and grab your left foot at least with the right hand, maybe both. Woo, and I'm wobbly today. Sorry if I threw you off. Okay, so then what happens? Right now, my foot is by my groin. I wanna try and get close to 90 degrees at my left knee. So I'm gonna open my knee up. Then I'm gonna start to pull my left foot towards my right armpit until I feel my left glute. So this is a standing pigeon. I can feel it. I'm keeping my left ankle crossed. I hope you are too. Make sure your spine is straight. Take one more breath. and release. Left foot goes back down. Now we do the same thing on the other side. So again, if you need to lean against something, go for it. We're gonna reach down and grab right foot, at least with the left hand, preferably with both. We flex the ankle. Then we open the knee joint up, lift the chest, pull the foot in the direction of the left armpit. It doesn't have to get there. What we're looking for here is sensation in the right glute. Keep the ankle flexed to protect the knee. And release. Nice. So that was your prep pose. Now we're kind of putting everything together. You've done Utkatasana, which is chair pose. You've done a yogic squat. Now you've done standing pigeon. We're going to put that all together. You've done this with me before. It's kind of like a standing figure four, but we lean forward like we did for chair. So standing on your right foot, you're going to take your left ankle across the right thigh just above the knee, flex it and push the leg out. There's your figure four. Then the arms are up and overhead. We're going to keep the chest lifted, just like Utkatasana and that wide-legged squat. Start to bend the right knee while we poke the right hip back, keeping chest lifted, and we start to kind of lean out over that left shin until we feel it in the left glute. Come on up from that, and we'll go for the other side. Standing on the left foot, right ankle crosses left thigh just above the knee. We flex the right ankle and we press that right knee out. Then we raise the arms, lift the chest like we did for Utkatasana. Begin to push the hips back, bending the left knee, keeping the chest lifted, leaning out over that right shin until we feel our glute. Come on up from that and release. Feet together, hands together. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. I'm gonna have you step back with your left leg. So you're back in that lunge. Now being mindful of knee issues. Obviously modify where you need to. If you are able, I would like for you to rotate both feet a full 90 degrees to the right. If you let the left hip start to sink, but keep your left leg straight, you should start to feel this in your right glute. Your right hand can reach for the ceiling. It can be on your thigh. It can be on the ground if you need the support. Where you can reach around and get a little bit of extra torque if that feels good to you. Take one more breath. And then rotate everything back around so you're back in your lunge. Drop the left knee down. Come up with your hands in prayer. And we're going to come into prayer twist. Left elbow outside right knee or thigh. Now here's what I want you to do. Lift your chest. Start to really sink the hips forward. Push against your thigh. As you start to rotate, see if you can start to get into that right glute a little bit. Take one more breath here. Release the hands down. We're going to step back to downward facing dog, taking time to lengthen the glutes. That means tailbone is poking up, pelvis is tilting forward, heels are pressing down. Left foot steps forward. Again, modify if you need to, skip it if you should. Otherwise, both feet rotate a full 90 degrees to the left. Hips sink until we feel it in that left glute. Hand can be to the ceiling, on the floor, in front of the shin. We rotate all the way back around. Drop your right knee down. Every once in a while, I draw a blank. Come on up with your palms together in prayer. Hips forward. Prayer twist to your left. Right elbow outside left knee or thigh. We press in to that left leg as the hips move forward so we can try and get into that left glute a little bit. Excellent. From here, hands down, and we step back to downward facing dog. From this down dog, we're going to drop to our knees. Those of you with knee issues, be very particular about minding what goes on here. We're going to be working our way into the leg position for Gomukhasana, which is cow phase. We're going to take the left thigh behind the right and have both knees on the ground. Separate the feet. Those of you with tender knees will keep weight on your hands. Those of you with healthier knees are going to sit all the way back onto the ground. So if you have loose hips, your knees are stacked and you're leaning forward. If you have tighter hips like I do, I'm just really trying to get that right glute to plant. I'm feeling it in my right hip. I'm going to take one more breath. And then we're just going to come out of it the way we went into it. So you're going to transition back onto your hands and knees and uncross the left leg from behind and take the right leg behind. So both knees are on the ground. Feet separate. Again, hold weight on the hands if you need to. Otherwise, sit down between the heels. Try and get that left glute to plant back down. Those of you that are really comfortable here can lean forward. Take one more breath. And we'll come on out of that. Uncross your legs. Give yourself a little tail wag. And then take a child's pose. Everybody take child's pose. And then those of you doing vinyasas can certainly take one after child's pose. The rest of us from here will scoot into Sphinx. And then downward facing dog. Really maximize your glute stretch here. So if you have really tight hamstrings, in fact, we'll all do this. This is a nice little assist to help stretch the glutes a little more, but particularly if you have tight hamstrings, bend your knees a little bit. Really poke your tailbone towards the ceiling and press through the arms, and then start to straighten your legs. So if they don't go all the way straight, that's okay, but you'll get more of a glute stretch. Take one more breath here. And then you can walk your feet forward to a standing forward bend, abdomen to thighs. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. We're going to take the feet to the edges of the mat for the third and final, yay, yogic squat. You know today I want your feet parallel, very important. So let's go ahead and drop the hips as much as possible. Support your weight on your thighs if you need to. See if you can allow the pelvis to be heavy regardless of how far down you are, and really allow the glutes to lengthen. Now, those of you that are close enough to the floor, you can just set your bum down and extend the legs. Those of you that need to, find your way to the floor for Dandasana. So just take a moment, really connecting sit bones down. Check in, body, breath, mind, heart, energy, and connection. And then way to inhale the arms up. So again, just like we did in Utkatasana, lifting the chest, maybe even looking at the thumbs. Keep your spine lengthened as you start to bring it out over your legs. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's fine. And then relax the shoulders, but keep your spine lengthening, which means the chest is lifted and pulling forward. In this position, you're getting much more of a glute stretch and less of a hamstring and low back stretch. And that's what we want today. Take just a couple more breaths here. It should feel pretty yummy. And then come on up from that. We're gonna pick the left foot up and bring it on top of the right thigh. Flex your left ankle and then lean out over your right leg. From here, come up and bring your hands right behind your backside for a straight spine. We're coming into that seated figure four, seated pigeon. Bend your right knee. Now, if you're not feeling it in your glute yet, then you would scooch up towards your right heel. If you have enough flexibility and you would like to, you're welcome to grab the right shin, but use that as leverage to lift your chest even higher, to get the straightest spine imaginable. So we're looking for sensation in the left glute. Take a couple of breaths. If your hands are off the ground, put them back on. All we're gonna do is drop that right leg over to the right. Left foot hits the ground, and you want the entire sole of your left foot on the ground. Even if your left bum lifts, that's fine. Left hand behind you, and you're gonna twist to the left. So if you have the capacity to get your right arm outside of that left knee or thigh, press on it gently, keeping left foot grounded as you twist, and see if you can get into that left glute just a tiny bit more. Now, as we unwind from this, we're gonna unwind into stacked logs. So you're just gonna bring that left ankle or foot on top of the right knee. Left knee is vertically aligned over right foot or ankle. Both ankles are flexed. Lean forward if you can. If you're already suffering just being in the position, then just stay there and breathe. We're not here for that long. And then coming up from that, extend both of your legs out, give them a good wiggle. Reestablish connection with your sit bones to the earth. And then bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh, just above the knee, flex the ankle and lean out over your left leg. From here, we're gonna come up and bring the hands behind us, push into the floor for that straight spine. Bend your left knee, seated pigeon or figure four stretch. And again, same thing applies here. We want the spine really straight. Doesn't matter if your hands stay on the ground or if you grab your left shin, but you wanna keep lifting the chest and pulling it forward. So in this case, we're trying to feel something in the right glute. And then from here, that left leg is going to drop over. The entire sole of the right foot is on the ground. You want to keep it there, even if your right glute lifts. Right hand behind you, and we're coming into our twist. If you can, you're applying a little bit of pressure against the outside of that right thigh or knee as you twist so that you can get a little more into your right glute. And then as we come out of this, we go into stacked logs or fire logs. So right ankle is going to be on top of left knee, right knee aligns over left ankle, both feet are flexed. If you can, you lean forward. If not, just breathe. It'll be over before you know it. And then come on out of that, extend your legs, wiggle a little bit. Make sure you're on your sit bones. And I want you to have your hands on your thighs in a nice straight extended spine. Start to slide your hands as far out as they will go. This is different for everybody. It doesn't really matter, but just be mindful of that. So if you can reach your feet, your right hand will stay on your right foot. If you can't reach your feet, your right hand will stay on your right shin. Either one is fine. You're gonna bend your left knee enough that you can grab your left big toe with the first 2 fingers and thumb of your left hand, kind of like your little lobster claw, right? You're gonna grab your left big toe, lift your chest, right hand stays on either the right foot or on the shin. Now, if you can, you lift your left calf parallel to the ground and you pull it straight back. So this is called Arkanya Danyarasana, which means shooting the bow. And if you've got that going on just right, you should feel this in your left glute. Take one more breath. Extend your left leg back out. Go ahead and sit out for a moment. Roll your shoulders back. And if you need to wiggle your toes, wiggle your toes. And then we're going to do the same thing. Hands are on the thighs. Slide them out as far as they will go. Don't worry about it. Wherever your left hand is perfect, whether it's your foot or your shin. The right hand, though, we're going to bend the right knee so that we can use the first 2 fingers and thumb of the right hand to grab our right big toe. Lift the chest, but keep your left hand on your foot or shin. Lift your right calf parallel to the ground, and then pull it straight back, shooting your bow. Take a couple of breaths. Try and feel the stretch in that right glute. And extend your right leg back out. Again, sit up straight. Roll your shoulders back, wiggle your toes if you need to. And from here, you get to roll onto your back. So go ahead and roll on down. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock side to side. And then I want you to put your left foot flat on the mat so your left knee is bent. You're going to grab your right foot with both hands. So think back to a few minutes ago when you were doing that standing pigeon. Some of you might have leaned against the wall. Now you get to do it lying down. I want you to flex your right ankle. Then I want you to see if you can get your right knee to open up to somewhere close to 90 degrees. Then I want you to begin pulling your right foot towards your left armpit. The cool thing about doing it this way is you can play around a little bit, right? Experiment with the movement. Those of you with more open hips or that want to go deeper, slide that left foot out now so your left leg is straight. So it should be just like that standing pigeon that we did, balancing, except now you're doing it on your back. And you can play a little bit with moving the right leg around until you get just the right stretch in your right glute. Take a couple more breaths. And then just hug your right knee in, bring the left knee up to meet it, rock side to side. And we'll put the right foot flat on the mat. Reach down, grab your left foot if you can with both hands, flex the left ankle, try to open the knee to about 90 degrees. Start to pull the left foot towards the right armpit. Play with the angle. See where you get the best glute stretch. If you're feeling a little spicy today, you can extend your right leg all the way out onto the floor. And remember, it's okay to play with the angle of the knee and the foot and the hip to get the absolute best glute stretch for you on this left side. And then we'll hug the left knee in, bring the right knee up to meet it, and rock side to side. From here, we're taking the right thigh really tightly over the left thigh, tight crossing of the legs. So if your knees didn't like doing Gomukhasana from a kneeling and seated position, you can do it on your back. Flex the ankles. If you can, you'll grab feet or ankles. If not, just hug the knees in. To make this effective, so I see a lot of people, not you guys, of course, but I see a lot of people that like to have their knees really relaxed and they're just hanging onto their feet and nothing's happening. What I would like for you to do is start trying to open up at the knee joint. If you could get to about 90 degrees at each knee and then pull a little bit on your feet, you would actually feel more, in this case, in your right glute, which is what I want for you. So take a couple more breaths. Hopefully that's what you want for you too. And then just unwind the legs, hug your knees, rock side to side. And we'll switch to the left leg being on top. Ankles flexed if you can. Grab your feet or ankles, and if not, it's okay. Grab the knees. And then again, to get the maximum benefit from the stretch, open the knees to about 90 degrees and pull a little bit on your feet. In this case, you should be feeling it in your left glute. Uncross your legs, hug your knees in, and rock side to side. So today for our inversion, for those of you who can, we'll be going into plow and even a variation of it, which is a really excellent glute stretch. But if you have neck or shoulder issues, plow might not be a great idea for you. What I would love for you to do instead, if you prefer, is to do it's basically like a forward bend, but lying on your back. So rather than doing bridge, I prefer that you not do bridge today. You can bend the knees a little if you need to, but you just want to grab your calves or the back of the thighs and just pull your thighs to your abdomen. So if that's it for you, that's it. And it's still an inversion if your hips leave the ground slightly. The rest of you guys, if you're able, let's go ahead and get those legs up and as much as you comfortably can overhead. If your feet touch the ground, you don't need to hang onto your hips. If your feet are not on the ground, please keep your hands on your low back or hips. Now, if you feel like you can, bend your knees and point your toes towards the ceiling, putting your knees on your forehead. So with little kids, we call this candlestick. If you feel like you can, separate the knees and come down and squeeze the ears. And then everybody roll on out, hug the knees in, and rock side to side. Maximum glute stretch with gluteus maximus. Lots of maxes there. From here, we're going to go into a spinal twist. If you need to keep it gentle, go from where we're at with both knees bent. Otherwise, extend your right leg onto the ground. Keep your left knee bent. Open left arm out to the left. We are twisting to the right first. So your head will turn to the left. Remember, modify with both knees bent if you need to. Otherwise, head turns to the left. And then it's purely optional, but if you want to get this final last little bit of extra goodness out of your left hip and glute, you begin to extend your left leg, so what you wind up with is both legs relatively straight at about 90 degrees. So your right leg is reaching straight down your mat, and your left leg is 90 degrees out to the side across your body. You might even be really sassy today and grab your left foot with your right hand, or maybe not. Take a couple more breaths. And then coming back up, we'll hug the left knee in and then bring the right knee up to meet it and rock side to side. Right knee stays hugged in now. Left leg extends. By the way, you're welcome to do this with both knees bent. Either way, right arm is going to open out and we're going to twist to the left. If possible, head turns to the right. And then if you want that little bit of extra goodness, you extend your right leg at 90 degrees. So the left leg is straight down the mat. The right leg is straight off to the left side of your mat. Maybe even grabbing that right foot with your left hand. Whatever you're doing, if you're feeling it in your right glute, in addition to the spinal twist, you're doing perfect. And then coming back up, hug your right knee in. Bring your left knee up to meet it, rock side to side. And then we're just going to place our feet on the mat with the ankles and knees together and let this little bit of gentle hip roll move in time to our breath. So when you exhale, both knees drop to one side. When you inhale, they come back up. When you exhale, they go the other way. So we're allowing our hips and low back to just kind of settle now. This is like a nice, gentle, it's like rocking the baby, right? You just, it's okay. So letting the glutes and the hips know all the hard stuff is over. Everything will be great from here on out. So the next time that the knees come to the center, you're going to let them drop open with the soles of the feet together. And we're just going to do one last low back lengthener. And you should get maximum length because once the glutes release, the low back easily releases. So let's inhale and press the low back into the mat. And just hold that for a couple of normal, gentle breaths. Go ahead on your next exhale and release, relax, let the curve come back into your spine. And then one more time, let's inhale, tilt the pelvis back, press the low back into the floor, feel those muscles lengthen. And then the next time you breathe out, release and begin to extend your legs, separate the feet, wiggle a little if you need to. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Make sure that your glutes are relaxed. So even take an extra moment to just feel your backside right now. Those are very dense muscles. They're very strong muscles. Give them permission to just let go, to just flatten out onto the mat. And then make sure that your eyes are gently closed. We're going to take an extra deep inhale. And exhale through the mouth with a sigh. Just really let your body settle in. Even when we do somewhat gentle hip and glute releases, it's still an intense practice. And so the body really needs this time to absorb what just occurred, to soak in what happened physically. The great thing is that our body and our mind and our heart are all inextricably linked. In yoga, they're basically the same thing. So when we create strength and flexibility in our body, we create strength and flexibility in our thoughts and emotions as well, and therefore in our lives. When we create space in the hips and the low back, we create space in our mind and in our heart. So take these few minutes here to just soak that in, to let that become part of you. That strength, that flexibility, and that space. Begin to feel back into your body on the mat. And see if you can feel the difference in your body compared to before you started practice. You did a lot today. Can you feel the changes that you made to your physiology? Can you feel the difference in your thought processes? Can you feel the difference in your emotions and your energy? And perhaps most importantly, can you feel the difference in your sense of connection? Begin to move your fingers and toes a little bit. Begin to deepen your breath. When you're ready, take that deeper breath. Spread the fingers and toes. Exhale through the mouth, relax them. Inhale even deeper and stretch out to your fullest length. And exhale and relax. Bend your knees. You can hug them if you like. And then just roll to your right side. Pause for a moment and press up into sitting. So a lot of the work that we did today physically corresponds to our root energy center. In Sanskrit, we call it Muladhara Chakra. That's the lowest root energy center. And that has to do with survival. So for those of us taking this class right now, we're very fortunate that we have everything that we have. That survival truly isn't an issue for us. We are very blessed to have roofs over our head and food on our table, and we're well cared for. So that's not really an issue, but sometimes world events or just even local events can unsettle us. And there's an internal environment that sometimes can be less safe feeling. So it's always nice to kind of close up this kind of work by making sure that we know from an internal perspective, emotional and energetic, that we are safe. So we're going to do a really basic pranayama today. I'm going to have you put your left hand at your heart, your right hand at your abdomen. As you breathe today, there's no specific count or anything like that. I want you to imagine that you are breathing in through your tailbone, your root chakra, all the way up to the crown of the head. Breathing out from the crown of the head all the way back down, out the tailbone and into the earth. And so what this signifies is that the earth gives us everything that we need, and we can draw that up. And the earth will also take anything that we don't need and miraculously transform it. So we bring in what we want from the tailbone up the spine to the crown of the head, and we release what we don't want from the crown of the head all the way back down and out the tailbone. So just breathing nice, slow, deep ujjayi breaths, imagining that you are drawing your air and your life force in from the tailbone up to the top of the head. And as you exhale, it's from the top of the head, back down the spine and out the tailbone. On these next couple of breaths, if it feels appropriate to you to help kind of seal in this sense of safety and survival, there's an old Louise Hay affirmation that's always appropriate. As you inhale, think to yourself, I am safe. And as you exhale, think to yourself, and all is well. So you're breathing in, I am safe, and all is well. And then just allow your palms to come together in front of your heart. Allow your breath to return to the breath pattern that you are familiar with and know, which is air coming in the nostrils, inflating the lungs deflating, and air coming back out the nose, your normal breathing. And then just take a moment in gratitude. Gratitude that we are safe and all is well. Gratitude that so far, each one of us has a 100% survival rate, which is pretty darn good. And that there is always, always much to be thankful for. Take one more deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Palms to the forehead, just reminding us to stay present, to be in the moment. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to always practice kindness, compassion, and love, and to remember to include ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.